Tonight, a win for Spencer Gulf motorists with Port Wakefield Road to get a $90 million overhaul. And wild weather and damaging winds wreak havoc across the mid-north.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening. The Spencer Gulf and York Peninsula is said to benefit from a $72 million federal government commitment to duplicate Port Wakefield Road and build an overpass at the intersection of the notorious Augusta and Copper Coast highways. It's hoped the project will ease traffic congestion and improve road safety.
It's a sigh of relief for motorists in the region who know the dangers of crossing the Augusta and Copper Coast Highway intersection all too well. The $90 million project will see 2 new lanes through Port Wakefield and an overpass, as promised in the March state election.
This is another piece of the pipe in building the pipeline of infrastructure projects here in South Australia. This Port Wakefield overpass and duplication builds on the commitment that we took to the election.
A transformational nation-building project which is going to make the freight task that much easier.
The federal government today committed $72 million towards the highway revamp, with the rest coming from the state government, which will deliver its first budget on Tuesday.
So $90 million, $72 million from the federal government, $18 million from the state government, and the fantastic thing is that the commitment that we took to the election we've actually been able to build upon.
Federal member for Grey, Rowan Ramsey, says it will fix the Port Wakefield bottleneck during peak tourism seasons.
This is a congestion spot here that leads to a lot of frustration and people making dumb decisions on the road. So
the state-of-the-art development is expected to cut travel times dramatically, reducing the impacts of fatigue for motorists travelling through our region.
It's going to get people home sooner and safer, get trucks to where they need to be, get school buses. It's all about road safety, it's all about logistics, it's all about making sure that we meet the demands of the freight task.
It's hoped the new single-lane overpass and lane duplication will reduce the amount of serious crashes and fatalities along the Augusta Highway.
To once and for all get rid of Crash Corner.
The project will be completed in 2022, but works is going to start straight away on doing the design work, the concept planning.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Damaging winds wreaked havoc across Port Pirie today. The roof of Savoy Soccer Club was torn from a building, dangerously flapping over Main Road. Emergency services were called to section off the area to ensure that locals were out of harm's way. Trees, bins and even a television tower was blown over as winds averaging up to 65 kilometres an hour lashed Port Pirie, Snowtown and Roseworthy, while a wind gust of 113 kilometres an hour was also observed at Port Pirie. The National Drought Coordinator has been invited to the Eyre Peninsula by the state government. Primary Industry Minister Tim Whetstone says it's important for him to see SA is also feeling the pinch.
While some parts of the EP are seeing good rainfall, it's a different story further north. The Dark Peak region is seeing some of its driest farming conditions in 40 years. New PM Scott Morrison and Drought Coordinator General Stephen Day have this week toured the eastern states, which are crippled by drought, and the state government wants his next trip to be here.
I've given him an invitation to come to South Australia and have a look at the areas that are experiencing the dry conditions at the moment.
While the dry areas of the EP are yet to be declared in drought, Mr Whetstone says it's important General Day sees the conditions, especially if they worsen,
so that we can position ourselves, if needed to be, for the Commonwealth Government's financial assistance.
While no answer has been received, the Minister says he's confident he can get General Day to the Eyre Peninsula in the near future.
I would expect him to be here within a fortnight. I'm hoping that he'll make the visit to South Australia next week.
In the meantime, the state will look to secure federal funding to support struggling communities. $75 million is on the table in the eastern states, with grants of up to $1 million available for local councils. If there are funds unallocated, Mr Whetstone will seek to have them diverted to SA.
Councils here in South Australia that deem it necessary that they be a part of this program, then that drought coordinator will make that determination.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A shortage of local tradespeople is forcing businesses in the Upper Spencer Gulf region to outsource for employment. For many of the companies, the state government's significant injection of apprentices couldn't come soon enough.
In the Upper Spencer Gulf, business is booming, but finding local tradies is a big challenge.
Companies are still being forced to bring in interstate labour.
At the Global Maintenance Conference in Port Augusta, the general consensus for most businesses is that they're struggling to find skilled locals on the tools.
And the message in the last 6 months has been very clear. We can't find skilled tradespeople.
A drop of around 15,000 apprentices between 2013 to 2017 meant some local businesses were the hardest hit.
We've had to spread it, look as far and wide as possible to fill those positions, because obviously when we get contracts we have to fulfil, we have to just go as far as we need to so we can supply our customers.
The state government has committed $100 million to invest in 20,000 new apprenticeships and traineeships over the next 4 years. They say it's important local businesses have input on how to best target those skills.
Young local people need access to the opportunities that your businesses can offer, and equally your businesses need access to those people.
With local businesses sure to benefit from new young minds.
To bring people and we get the chance to train them in the way we work is the way to go.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Sanjeev Gupta will celebrate 1 year of owning the Whyalla Steelworks tomorrow. The employees will be the focus of the occasion, with a special event being held on site. John Hunt has more details.
It's hard to believe, but tomorrow marks 1 year since Sanjeev Gupta was handed the keys to the Whyalla Steelworks. The company is marking the occasion tomorrow, with a focus on those who keep the plant running. Last year's handover was a day of celebration for the whole Whyalla community. There was a march from Wilson Park into Adarang Gardens before a ceremonial handover and community day, as residents celebrated the town's future being secured. 1 year on, and GFG Alliance will mark the 12 months anniversary on a more low-key scale. Steelworks owner Sanjeev Gupta will be in town. He'll host a ceremony and lunch at the Steelworks, with a number of guests and employees to join him. Tomorrow's event is focused on thanking employees for their hard work over the past 12 months. Many of them had a rough 2 to 3 years with their futures up in the air after the collapse of Arium. It will also signal the beginning of change for the steel plant and the city. Whyalla got a taste of the future 3 weeks ago, when Mr. Gupta unveiled the first stage of his steelworks upgrade, a $1 billion solar project that'll supply the plant and potentially the state. So while it won't be as big as last year, it's still a significant occasion. And then it's back to work, as the Steelworks prepares for its biggest transformation in half a century.
Still to come tonight, Port Augusta locals struggling to get a park in the CBD may be set for a welcome change. And students with disabilities from all across the Mid-North hit the court for their annual basketball carnival. 2 men will face court over an alleged break and enter at a Whyalla home earlier this week. Police were called to a house on Jenkins Road at around 5 o'clock on Tuesday after witnesses reported the men loading a trailer with stolen items. A 46-year-old from Whyalla has been charged with serious criminal trespass and theft, while a 51-year-old man also from Whyalla has been charged with being unlawfully on premises. The men were bailed to front the Whyalla Magistrates Court in December. Port Augusta locals struggling to get a park in the CBD may be set for a welcome change. The council is investigating the availability of parking and traffic management in the area, which could mean more parking spaces in the city.
On some days, this is a rare sight, a free parking space on Commercial Road.
Some days it's shocking to get a car park here, you can't get one.
For drivers, finding a park in the CBD on the weekend can be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's too busy, there's no parks. You got to park around the corner, you can't be central to your location where you want to go.
The community's concerns have been taken on board by the council. They're ordering a report to be conducted on the traffic management in the business precinct, which will look at the issue of parking, as well as the possibility of reducing the speed limit around the area.
Community members have come to me and suggested, is that possible? Is it feasible? Would it improve anything?
An increase in tourist traffic means caravans and trailers congest the city area.
It's gradually got worse, there's more traffic.
But the council says additional and larger parking spaces would mean those tourists would be more inclined to stop in Port Augusta.
We want to attract tourists to want to stop in the centre of the city, and then they can be diverse and go to where they want to go from there.
The council will conduct an internal investigation, looking at the speed limit and parking issues, as well as the CBD abroad. Locals say there's still a number of issues that need sorting out.
There's a taxi rank here in front of the post office, but very rare you see a taxi in it. And if you get caught in there, you're up for a couple $100 fine.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill's councillors were kept busy with over 30 motions of notice at their monthly meeting last night, re-establishing question time and a design competition for new gateway signs were two motions that got the nod.
A long night, but it wasn't all for nothing.
There was a few that did get up that I think will benefit the city.
Councillors had their endurance tested last night as they went through 34 notices of motion. 18 of those were introduced by Councillor Tom Kennedy. One motion he was happy to see get up was bringing back question time before council meetings. He says it'll give the community more voice.
I think that will go a long way to increasing the numbers at council and actually having more community involvement. I was impressed that one did get up.
Public forum, an opportunity for people to speak before the meeting and after the meeting.
Council are also calling on the community for their designs for new Welcome to Broken Hill signs, with a competition to be held encouraging locals to put forward their ideas.
And my concern was we're going to spend a lot of money doing one of those signs to see if people liked it, and if it come back that people still didn't like it, then it's virtually a waste of money. So if we have a competition, the community's right behind those signs right from the start.
It'll probably take a while longer to get those signs up at the entrance to the city, but that was council's decision.
Councillor Kennedy says he's disappointed council didn't support his push to look into reopening Imperial Lakes.
All they had to do was vote that they support me, and then I would have done all the work I could have done to potentially put us in a position where we could open it.
Naming a street after world-renowned artist Pro Hart was also put forward, and tenders for upgrades to Patton Park in the city's south were awarded. Patrick Ryankey, Southern Cross News.
A Broken Hill hotel that has undergone a $5 million refurbishment will reopen its doors tomorrow night. The Mount Gibbs Hotel, located just over 10 kilometres from the Silver City, closed in 1987. But after 18 months of rejuvenation, tourism brand Out of the Ordinary Outback has brought the 128-year-old building back to life.
I drove past it for probably 3 years and perved on it and dreamed that, wow, this could be a fantastic spot just out of town, beautiful old stone building, you know, cherishing the outback and the desert scenery, the sunrises and the sunsets and the stars. So it had all the right ingredients for me.
The hotel will welcome all kinds of holiday makers, from caravanners to campers. Donaldson Stadium in Port Pirie was packed with smiles today as students with disabilities from across the Mid-North came together for their annual basketball carnival.
Students from across the region hit the courts for 2 days of basketball action. The program aims to encourage sportsmanship and participation from students with a disability.
All being together as a massive special Olympics, I think, for them, I guess. So
a lot of fun and play lots of games of basketball and enjoy a lot of friendship making, because that's one of the aims of this carnival.
Players from 10 schools across the Mid-North had fun with their friends while also working up a sweat.
Excited about my friends and everywhere, and get to say hi to them and get to high-five them too.
The carnival kicked off with a Special Olympics torch run this morning, organised by the Port Pirie Police Force.
The torch is a symbol of hope for the athletes of Special Olympics. It's a light of inclusion and also for social acceptance.
Students will be sweating it out for a number of hours before attending the fan favourite disco.
You get to dance around and everything. You get to say hi to everyone as well and make new friends.
A lot of noise, and we do a lot of dancing, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun just watching how they interact with each other.
Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
What a great program. Stay with us after the break. We'll have fish and tips.
And there's the chance of showers this weekend. I'll have all the local weather details soon.
Welcome back. Now it's time to see what's biting around the Gulf.
Welcome another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips from Port Pirie. I've got to tell you, unfortunately there's a bit of wind coming, but over the weekend don't be too panicky. Get in close to where we've got some salmon around the creeks and so forth. There's still some blue swimmer crabs. I see the crab pots are out around the creek, so if they've got their pots set there, obviously it's an opportunity for you to have a shot at it as well. And then when we're looking at a King George whiting, we're still saying that closer you get, the better off you'll have within that creek range. So have a shot there. Lowly Rip's been catching some snapper at this particular time. If you want some nice salmon or some good squid, if you head down to Port Broughton, you'll find that in the Longreach Channel and all that sort of stuff you'll do pretty well. But watch out for the wind, don't venture too far this weekend.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel North. Well, still a real mixed bag out there. Even the weather's a bit of a mixed bag, but get out when you can. Some King George around, or quite a few, but varying in sizes. Some you really have to watch the size, others are big thumpers. Squid is still around down along the shacks and also out in the middle banks there. There are some snapper down on the seabird and salmon trout around the Chinaman Creek area. That's all we have from the Jewel North.
And time now for the weather with Amy.
Thanks, Abby. Well, temperatures did remain high today despite forecasted showers across the region. 24 in Port Augusta, Whyalla just sitting a degree below. Winds picked up around Broken Hill for a top of 25. On the satellite, and cloud within the trough will move over western parts with showers and thunderstorms developing. Skies are mostly clear over the far northeast under high pressure. If you're starting out the weekend on the waters tomorrow, southwesterly winds will pick up to 20 knots with seas reaching 2.5 metres. The sun will rise at 6:41 while it's setting at 5:59. There's a chance of showers developing as we enter the weekend. Port Augusta sitting at 24 degrees, Whyalla a top of 20. Broken Hill and Port Pirie both heading for 19. Despite it looking like a few wet days ahead, showers should clear around Port Lincoln by Monday, reaching 15. Cleve will also have a fine start to the new working week and a top of 17 degrees. Similar conditions are ahead for Woodner. Whyalla could see some late showers on Sunday, however it is fining up as temperatures hit 18. Sunshine returning in Port Augusta later into the weekend, with Monday seeing a high of 19. Meanwhile, a few showers before conditions fine up in Kadina. A mostly sunny and a top of 20 degrees on Monday for Port Pirie after the chance of showers later this weekend. Clare is seeing a sunny 13 early next week, and in Broken Hill, conditions should be mostly sunny on Sunday and into Monday. So Abby, it looks like we'll be seeing some sunshine to kick off the new week.
And that's the local news from the team this Thursday. Have a great evening. Good night.